The diplomatic chamber aboard the orbital station hummed with the low thrum of artificial gravity generators. Captain James Morrison stood before the crystalline podium, hands clasped behind his back, trying not to stare at the two beings seated across from him. One was Princess Valera of the Catherine Empire, whose azure skin shimmered under the station's pale lights. The other was Queen Ashira, her mother, whose presence commanded the room despite her smaller stature. "Let me understand this correctly," James said, measuring each word carefully. "You want me to marry both of you?" Valera's silver eyes met his with an intensity that made his spine straighten. "It is not a matter of want, Captain Morrison. It is tradition. It is law. It is the only way." 3 months earlier, humanity had made first contact with the Catherine Empire during a routine exploration mission near the Andromeda sector. The Catherines were an advanced species, elegant and powerful, controlling 17 star systems through a combination of military might and intricate diplomatic marriages. When human ships entered their territory, tensions had risen quickly. James had been assigned as the human ambassador, tasked with preventing a war neither species could afford. Negotiations had been tense, filled with misunderstandings and near disasters. But slowly, grudgingly, both sides had found common ground. And somewhere in those long nights of discussion, something unexpected had happened. He had fallen for Valera. She was brilliant, fierce, and possessed a wit that could cut through diplomatic doublespeak like a plasma torch through steel. She challenged him, argued with him, and somewhere between debates about territorial rights and trade agreements, they had discovered they enjoyed each other's company far more than protocol demanded. When Valera had proposed marriage, James had been stunned but not displeased. A union between them would cement the alliance between their peoples. It was logical. It was strategic. And he genuinely cared for her. What he had not expected was this. "The law is ancient," Queen Ashira explained, rising from her seat. She moved with the grace of someone who had ruled for centuries. "When a member of the royal family marries outside our species, the eldest female relative must also join the union. It preserves our bloodline. It ensures our culture is not diluted." James ran a hand through his dark hair. "With respect, Your Majesty, this seems like something that should have been mentioned earlier." "We assumed you knew," Valera said quietly. "We assumed your databases would have included this information when you studied our customs." "Our databases," James said, trying to keep frustration from his voice, "are 3 months old and based on whatever your diplomats chose to share. This particular detail never came up." The Queen's expression softened slightly. "I understand this is unexpected for you, human. Your species practices pair bonding. One mate for life. This is different from our ways." James paced to the viewport, staring out at the stars beyond. Earth hung in the distance, a blue marble against the void. He had left that world 6 years ago, part of humanity's desperate push to the stars after the resource wars had nearly destroyed the planet. He had seen things no human before him had witnessed. He had shaken hands with beings made of living light and negotiated with hive minds that spoke in mathematical equations. But this was beyond anything in his training. "What if I refuse?" he asked without turning around. The silence that followed was heavy enough to crush planets. "Then there can be no marriage," Valera said, and James heard the pain in her voice. "And without the marriage, there can be no alliance. The Council will not accept a lesser arrangement. They already view humanity as weak, as temporary. This union is the only thing that would convince them to accept your people as equals." James turned back to face them. "And if there's no alliance?" "War," Queen Ashira said simply. "Not immediately. But within a generation, yes. Our empire expands. Your colonies are in our path. Without binding ties between us, conflict becomes inevitable." He looked at Valera, really looked at her. She sat rigid in her chair, trying to maintain the composure expected of royalty, but he could see the tension in her shoulders. She had not wanted this either. She had fought her own counsel, argued for an exception, and been overruled. "Tell me about your law," James said, returning to his seat. "Help me understand why this matters so much." The Queen settled back, her expression distant. "Long ago, before we reached the stars, our people nearly destroyed ourselves through internal conflict. Houses fought houses. Families turned against families. We were on the brink of extinction when the first queen united us. She established laws to ensure that no marriage would ever weaken our people again. Every union must strengthen the whole. When royalty marries outside," Valera continued, "it represents a risk. New blood, new ideas, new loyalties. The law requiring the elder female to join ensures continuity. She carries our history, our traditions. She becomes the bridge between old and new." "So your mother would essentially be a teacher?" James asked. "A cultural guide?" "More than that," Ashira said. "I would be your wife as well, in full standing. The union would be equal between the three of us." James felt his face flush. "Your Majesty, I mean no disrespect, but you're Valera's mother." "And you are not Catherine," Ashira replied. "To you, this seems strange. To us, it is natural. I would not expect romance from you, Captain, but I would expect respect, partnership, and loyalty. The same things any marriage requires." He stood again, needing to move. His mind raced through the implications. Earth needed this alliance desperately. Humanity was still vulnerable, still learning to navigate a galaxy filled with species that had been traveling the stars for millennia. The Catherine Empire's protection and technology would give humanity the breathing room it needed to grow stronger. But this price felt impossibly high. "Can I speak with Valera alone?" he asked. The Queen studied him for a long minute, then nodded. "You may have 1 hour. We will await your decision in the outer chamber." After Ashira departed, James sat beside Valera. Up close, he could see the faint patterns in her skin, like constellations mapped across her arms and neck. He had traced those patterns once, during a late-night strategy session that had turned into something more personal. "Tell me honestly," he said. "What do you want?" Valera's rigid posture crumbled. She leaned forward, elbows on her knees, and for the first time looked fragile. "I want to marry you. I want peace between our peoples. I want my mother to stop treating me like I am still a child who does not understand the weight of the crown. But the law? The law is the law," she said bitterly. "I have argued against it. I have presented alternatives. The council will not budge. They see my choice of you as already radical. To also waive the tradition would be too much." James took her hand. Her skin was cool, smooth. In human culture, there are arranged marriages in some societies. People learn to make them work. Is this really so different? You would truly consider it? Hope flickered in her silver eyes. "I need you to understand something," James said carefully. "I care for you. These months working together, getting to know you, they have meant something to me. But I will not lie and say I love your mother. I do not know her. I understand. If I agree to this, I need ground rules. Respect works both ways. I will honor your traditions, but you must understand mine. In human marriages, we value honesty above all else. No secrets. No hidden expectations. We face challenges together." Valera squeezed his hand. "That I can promise." They sat in silence for several minutes, both staring out at the stars. "My mother is not a monster," Valera finally said. "She is stern, yes, traditional, but she has ruled wisely for 300 years. She ended the sector wars. She established the trade networks that our empire relies upon. And she raised me to value honor above all else. 300 years? James asked weakly. Catherines live long lives. Did that not make it into your databases either? He laughed despite himself. This just keeps getting better. She will outlive you by centuries, Valera admitted. As will I. That is something you must accept if you join with us. Your human lifespan is brief compared to ours. James felt the weight of that reality settle over him. He would grow old while they remained vital. He would die while they continued on. Any children they had would be hybrids, belonging to both worlds and neither. But perhaps that was the point. Your mother said this law was about preventing your people from destroying themselves, James said slowly. About building bridges. Maybe that is what humanity needs too. Not just an alliance of convenience, but real bonds. Complicated, messy, challenging bonds that force both our peoples to truly understand each other. You are considering it, Valera said, wonder in her voice. I am insane, James replied. But yes, I am considering it. When Queen Ashura returned, James stood to face her. I have conditions, he said. The Queen raised one elegant eyebrow. Speak. This marriage will be a true partnership. I will respect your traditions, but you will respect human values in return. That means honesty, communication, and genuine effort to make this work. I will not be a trophy or a political tool. Agreed, Ashura said without hesitation. Second, our children, if we have any, will be raised to honor both cultures equally. They will know Earth as well as they know your homeworld. Agreed. And third, James said, low,